Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we got a lot of things to talk about here on this Tuesday, as we appreciate it. And I know we're going to get to some Razorback basketball, still buzzing from last night's victory in game one. So we'll have some talk about that, as well as looking at some other SEC schools that played last night. And also tonight, we'll look into that, give some coaching search stuff, and have another making the case for a particular coach today. We'll have that as well. We'll have our heavy hitters and, of course, get into the chat and check the vibes there and see how everything's going. And you all just being so excited and pumped up about everything with Razorback Sports. We'll have that. But fellas, it's Tuesday. It's a nice fall day outside. How are the vibes here today?
Pretty good, man. I'm just one of many witnesses to the greatness that is Darius Acuff and Meleek Thomas, the best freshman duo in the history of Arkansas basketball. So how could you not be flying high? How could the vibes not be high after witnessing something like that? And they weren't even the best guys on the floor because Trevin Brazil was awesome. So really cool to be back out there at Bud Walton Arena. Good showing, 109 points without, one of your future draft picks out there on the floor. Good stuff. Still things to work on. It was a successful night at the office. And now I just need to kill a few days worth of time before we see these dudes in a huge test this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time complaining about it and being like, oh, man, no one's talking about us. No one's giving us our credit. No one's doing all this. Because obviously if they lose Saturday, then we're going to look really stupid. But I am extremely cautiously, but extremely optimistic about just this basketball team. And I love what I'm seeing. I had a great time at Bud Walton last night. I can't wait to watch them play again. And so I'll wait until they beat Michigan State to really start pumping my chest a little bit. But let's just say I am very pleased with the product I am seeing from John Calipari and his boys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to have a game against a team like Southern in game one and missing one of, if not, at least the player that was really important to have back last year and he's not playing, what type of performance do you want? Well, scoring over 100 points and being a team by over 30 when still not playing, in some cases, your A game, it's a pretty good start. I think that's a pretty good floor to go on from. And Curtis, you mentioned Acuff and Meleek Thomas. We got to see a little bit of them during some practices and then, of course, during the exhibition games. But now that the real season's here, they went up against the team against Southern. So, we have to keep that in mind. But, man, how do you just not see – because there's a lot of fans that are just fans and may not know ball. I mean, I don't know ball as well as you, Curtis, or a lot of other people. But sometimes you can just look at players and be like, yep, that's it. They got it. You don't have to know about the type of defense that they're really good at, or how about their arms or their wingspan and knowing all. They got it. That's what I just look at with Acuff and Meleek Thomas, where you could sit here and study about them for sure. You can break them all down. You can scout them, but if you just are a casual fan and you watch them play, you're like, yeah, these are next level guys that don't come around very often at Arkansas.
Yeah, man, these guys are the truth. And John, you said it to me, excuse me, before we got started, that it just feels unlikely that there will be too many games where both of those guys have an off night. Like you feel like you're going to get one of them. And most teams in the country are fortunate to have one guy like this. So, Arkansas has kind of got an embarrassment of riches. And that's not to even mention that, the other guys on the team that are really talented, but it's crazy. What I love about them is they do play, I think, very well together and operating off of each other. And it was something Cal mentioned last night, that he wants to make sure they share the floor for at least 20 minutes per game together, whether that's one of them starting, one of them coming off the bench. He wants them to play more together. So if I'm DJ Wagner, I'm looking at that going, I better pick it up, man, a little bit. But I think it's a good thing. He wants them to share the sugar a little bit more. But if you look at it through the two exhibition games and then last night, Acuff has a 15-4 assist to turnover ratio. Leak has a 14-5. That's pretty darn good for those guys out there. And I was just putting the numbers together from those exhibitions and last night. 3-game sample size, obviously very small, but those guys just continue to impress. Acuff in those games, 18.7 points, 52.5% from the field, 38.5% from three. And we mentioned the assist to turnover there. Leak, 20.7 points per game, 54.8% from the field, 43.5% from three, and the 14-5 assist to turnover ratio. Those dudes are killing it out there right now. And so I've been doing this thing where I say, all right, like DJ, yeah, he could definitely be playing better. Malik Ewan, he's got another gear that he needs to kick it into. All these other guys, you need to get Carter healthy, whatever. But if you got those two dudes cooking, if you just get like one more, like you had with Trevin Brazil last night to be rolling, you're going to be in a position to win pretty much every game that you play this season. So it's been a lot of fun to watch so far. I love these dudes.
It's the ease and the sustainability of what they're doing that I think just jumps out to you. I mean, there's something to be said about the fact that we've watched this team play 3 times. We have watched them thoroughly dominate 3 teams and 3 varying levels of teams, by the way. And so it's like, different tests, different skill sets, and they're going to face teams that make it a lot harder on them to run away and to have these huge spurts and to really take control of the game. But I just watched them blow an opponent out, and I'm like, man, they didn't even need like something to happen. A lot of times, you have a matchup. Arkansas played South Carolina last year. It was just a weird matchup. It just kind of had to happen a certain way. Nick Pringle had to go off against Arkansas for them to blow Arkansas out. Like Arkansas had to have their worst offensive game of the year. I just watch what Arkansas does every game, and I'm just like, yeah, nothing crazy happened, nothing out of the ordinary. Like Meleek Thomas, 4 for 10 from 3. Good day, but like that's not like completely out of the ordinary for him. Perhaps Darius Acuff's not going to go 20 points of 7 of 10 shooting or whatever, but it's like in the first half. But a lot of things that Arkansas has, I look at it and I look at DJ Wagner. I'm like, yeah, there's still meat on this bone. Like it's not one of those things where you just played your A game and you got a good result. And so I'm excited to continue to watch this team get tested. But I just compare it to these last couple of years and these good basketball teams that we've watched. I mean, even the best teams that Muss had, which obviously weren't playing well to start the year, it's like things had to go really well for them to score a ton of points. Like you had to get that random, JD Notae goes 6 of 9 or whatever from 3. You had to get 1 or 2 guys really playing well above their expectations in order for you to blow a team out that way, in order for you to score 109 points. I mean, Arkansas scored 76 points in the opener last year. And they needed Nelly Davis to hit a couple threes at the end of the game to kind of make it look better than it was. That game was actually closer than the score indicated. And it's like, I just think, is this team going to have a way better results at the end of the year? I don't know, but you can tell offensively, this is just a little bit different than what we're used to. And that's saying something because we've seen some good teams.
Yeah. And to the offensive point, like, I know that there's been times where the offense has been good at Arkansas. I'm not saying it's always been bad. And I know, again, it's one game, but just comparing it to a year ago, I think that's where my excitement really comes into play. Is just, they went to the Sweet 16. That was great. And they had some decent wins. But just during the regular season, we know how much of a struggle it was. We know it did with injuries. It doesn't matter. Point was even then they were at their healthiest, the offense was still just kind of like, ugh. I just, all right. If Arkansas scored over 80 points in a game, you're like, all right, who got, did Nelly get hot from 3, or did Thero just go to the free throw line constantly and make some plays? That's what it kind of felt like. But guys, if I tell you anytime this year, hey, Arkansas is going to score 80 points, it's just almost a feeling of like, yeah, of course they are. I mean, who went off this time, or was it 3 guys getting 20 points in a game like we saw last night? I mean, there's just so many options there. And it's so nice to see to where not just for 3-point shooting, but just every element of the offense, looking at it and being like, hey, man, this is fun. This is fun. Even if you win games, you want to win at the end of the day. But I'd much rather win a game 109-87 than win a game that final score 62-48. It's just like, I'd rather, if you're going to win a certain way, do it with offense. And I think it's the different types of options that they have, and also just their electricity, their energy. I mean, I know we're talking about a lot about the freshmen who have that, but even seeing Trevin Brazil last night, he almost ended a guy on a dunk, this close to just ending a dude's career. And it was the most impressive missed dunk I've seen in quite some time. But, just seeing those elements and to see the alley-oops, to see the athleticism, the steals, the transition play, all of that, it's just, man, it really sets the ceiling up so much higher than maybe what it's been in previous years.
It's a fun team, man. They get up and down. You're right. They've got a little bit more juice to them than some of the teams of the past. It was kind of something that annoyed me about last year's team for the longest because we kept talking about like, man, get more of a crowd there. Can they get more fired up? Like what's going on here? But then even when they were playing well, there just wasn't a whole lot of that, pounding your chest and screaming at the crowd. It just wasn't a whole lot of that with that team. It's whatever, just the personality of that group. But I like it with this team. Like, you didn't have Carter Knox out there last night, and he's a guy that's big on that kind of stuff. Billy was saddled with foul trouble the entire game. He only played 16 minutes, so you didn't get your typical wild man activity from downhill Bill out there, but you still had plenty of it. Like when you got guys like Meleek Thomas running around like a crazy person, and he sees the student section, he makes a shot, and he's firing those dudes up. I love that kind of stuff. Nick Pringle is really, really good for that. Constant energy out there on the floor, flexing the muscles, pounding his chest. That's good stuff, man. It gets me fired up. It shows a little bit of killer instinct out there, and it gets the crowd going too. And when you can mix that with guys who are playing hard, like, I think about Meleek Thomas. If it was me, he's a better man than I am, because if I could get buckets like him, I wouldn't give a damn about no defense or anything else. But he's diving on the floor for loose balls and making plays on the defensive end. He gets more excited about turning a guy over than he does hitting the three. So I like the mentality of some of these guys out there, and it's got to continue to carry over. They'll face some real adversity this weekend, and we'll learn a little bit more about what they're made of. But dude, it's a lot of fun. They've got a confidence and a swagger about them that it's hard not to be endeared by.
You can tell this is a team that has high expectations, and they have very high standards for themselves. And of course, in the team setting as well, but they all have a very clear understanding of what they want to accomplish individually, what they are being asked to do on this team. And they all kind of know, I'm sure, I don't know what they talk about if they're like, hey, we're going to go to the Final Four. Hey, we're going to win 30 games. We're going to do whatever. But they seem to have a pretty good understanding between them. And, every college basketball team in America, even D2 teams, are filled with guys who want to play professional basketball. But it's one thing to want to play professional basketball and be playing college and say, oh, yeah, if things go well, I'll play pro. It's another thing to wake up every single day with that goal in mind, and you're doing everything you're doing on a daily basis is for that goal. And when you listen to a guy like Meleek Thomas, who's the youngest player on this team, you look at him at the press conference, and he's like, listen, I know I need to take my game to here, and here. I can already score. If I can figure out how to rebound, I can defend. I can just round out my game a little bit. So, we go into a lot of these matchups with Arkansas sports, and we're like, how is Arkansas going to be motivated? They're coming off a big win. Is this a trap game? Are they going to be motivated to play against Southern? It's not a big opponent, not a great crowd. Are they going to be motivated? These guys aren't worried about crap like that. That's not what these guys talk about. They talk about, how can I make the most amount of money playing basketball? How can I achieve the most possible things in my career? And you could tell they're locked in on that, man. And so when you're trying to feed your family, like Cal says, it doesn't matter if you're playing Southern. It doesn't matter if you're on the road in East Lansing. It doesn't matter if you're in Madison Square Garden. It's like these dudes are motivated, and they have something to prove every single time we see them. We're at prime time at the Palace, and Meleek Thomas is shooting like it's like his life depends on it, like the Rents do, bro. It's like that's a really dangerous mentality for a team to develop, and it's rare that you see signs of that so early in the year, because usually there is such a feeling out process, especially with so many moving parts and new pieces on a team.
Well, and I know we'll use it as part of our alumni all question of the day here in a second to talk about the two freshmen. But Curtis, to your point, back to the energy and the home crowd and screaming at it, I love that. But what I'm going to love the most, and I'm hoping this happens, is if on Saturday, for instance, there in East Lansing, the IZone student section, as they call it, I think it's going to be a raucous atmosphere and everything. That if Meleek buries a dagger three or something like that, just to get up by 6 points or something with 38 seconds to go, he just, looking to the crowd and just blowing kisses or just looking at them. I'm like, that's the energy that just gets me hyped up, because, it's easy to feed off the home crowd. But if you do that and you silence other ones, and then, they're going after you and you keep barking at them a little bit, that's obviously keep it in check. No technicals, no nothing like that. But man, that's the stuff that's really going to get the nips hard for me over here.
Oh man, the legend would grow, wouldn't it? If Arkansas goes down there and wins that game, it would be incredible. It's going to be really difficult to do. And I mean this when I say it. If you put Arkansas and Michigan State on a neutral floor, I would take Arkansas 8 out of 10 times. I think they're the better team. I think they're more talented. I got a lot of respect for Izzo. That's a tough place to go play. I mean, they had it packed out for Colgate last night, and it was crazy in there. And now you got a Saturday and a top 15 team coming in. It's going to be rowdy in there, and it's going to be their first real experience of that. Although it was a really good atmosphere against Memphis in that exhibition, it's different, man. Like, there are levels to this. But yeah, if they just go out of there and come out with a win, you feel great about it. And the reason you like Arkansas's chances, like when the game was scheduled, was because, well, they got all these returning pieces, you got the 4 guys back from the Sweet 16. They've been in these wars together. They're not going to be fazed by this. All that's true, and it looms large, but if it's those 2 freshmen, man, that they go out there and lay the daggers like you said. Oh my gosh, you won't be able to tell Arkansas fans nothing. It's going to definitely be like Cal's going to have to be searching for some humbling moments for this team. I think they play like UCA or something after that one, and they might win that game by 40, and he tees off on them in the press conference or something. Those heads are going to get big if those young fellas go down there and take down Tom Izzo and the fellas.
One thing that I do appreciate, and it's not a huge deal necessarily, and I know we're not going to spend some time talking about it, this team has traveled together. That Memphis exhibition, like you said, completely different game, completely different atmosphere. There is something to everyone getting on something, whether it's a plane or a bus or whatever, going somewhere together, staying at the same hotel. Hey, we got to be down here, meet in the lobby at 8 a.m. or whatever, doing that kind of stuff as a coach, as a player on staff, or as someone on the staff. Like, it's a very different task getting your team ready for a road game than it is a home game. Obviously, you're not sleeping in your own bed, all those things. That's also, and Curtis, you know this because you're an all-time great locker room guy. You go on those road trips, that's when those boys are, getting to know each other. You're sleeping in a hotel with one of your teammates. Like, you're really bonding. You're really starting to build that chemistry and that like bond with your brothers. I love that Arkansas has already done this. So going to East Lansing, it's not going to be like we've seen a lot of Arkansas teams over the years that first road trip. I mean, Curtis, you remember whenever we saw Arkansas go to Texas with those freshmen, Anthony Black and them, and they were completely scared shitless, dude. Like, they were not ready for that. Like, they kind of needed that. I love that Arkansas has already kind of gone through that. But I got to say, dude, I was looking at a little bit of some highlights from Michigan State. They packed that stadium out for their
opening. Man.
Awesome. I don't know how many their arena seats, but like
15.
It was jumping on a Monday night. I would imagine this Saturday it's going to be popping for Michigan State, man. That is going to be a legitimate atmosphere.
Yeah, and they're going to hate John Calipari too, because everyone does.
Sure, yeah.
And they don't care if he's, coming over there with Kentucky or Arkansas or whatever. It's the Hall of Fame on Hall of Fame matchup. So it's going to be very interesting. I saw somebody in the chat. I need to go look at the press conference. I haven't listened to Izzo's from their game. They didn't play that well, honestly, against Colgate, but they won the game. And somebody was saying, he said that that Arkansas is going to kick their ass this weekend or something along those lines. Maybe that person was paraphrasing, but I hope he did say something like that. I got to go and check it out. But it's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And as part of our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends of Alumni Hall, that's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. Any of you folks that need the latest and greatest Razorback apparel, there's only one place. It's Alumni Hall. I mean, they have everything. They have the hats. They have the polos. They have the jerseys. They have the hoodies. They have the sweatshirts. They have everything that you could possibly want. If there's something with a Razorback on it, they have it. And if they don't have it, it's because it doesn't exist. So be sure to shop them online today and get your Razorback gear going for this basketball season at insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. That's insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. You can also check them out in store at 3417 North College Avenue. It's Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. Guys, in this question, I knew somebody was going to say it. They're like, why are you trying to pit people against each other? It's not that. It's just there's no wrong answer to this question. It's just a matter of preference. Which Razorback freshman are you most excited to see play the rest of this basketball season between Meleek Thomas and Darius Acuff? You guys may have looked at the results, but I'm not going to reveal them just yet. Just for your personal, do you have a preference? And again, no wrong answer. Doesn't mean that the other one's better than the other. Just one you're most excited to see play the rest of the season.
I'll double down with you and preface it. Love both of these guys. I can't wait to watch both of them play. If I had to pick, though, I got to go with Meleek Thomas. And the reason being, I think Acuff is going to be the more consistent player throughout the course of the year. I still think we'll get some ups and downs, not as much as I thought initially with the streakiness with Meleek, but we'll get a little bit of that. But it's the way he goes about his business. Like, they're so different personality-wise. Acuff he's that classic, he doesn't look like a freshman out there. He's just never sped up, never rattled, doesn't show any emotion for the most part. He's just dialed in. Leek's going crazy out there, man. Like, he's clapping his hands, he's shouting, he's flexing those little biceps. I can't get enough of this kid. And I love that quick release on the three. He takes some shots that'll drive you crazy. He does some things that'll piss Cal off, but then he's like, okay, you made it, so I guess I'll deal with it. He's just he's appointment television. And this team it's awesome. They're a lot of fun. I sit there at the beginning of the game and I'm just counting down the moments until Meleek Thomas checks in. Like, I love watching the kid play.
Should we come up with some type of name for the corner? I mean, he took 6 threes from that same exact spot. I think he hit 3 or 4 of them. Like, I think almost all of his threes were from that exact same spot in the left corner. We have to come up with some type of name if he's going to continue to knock down shots at that exact spot so consistently. I love that. And I also think it's like Meleek Thomas, like you said, it's like you kind of just know what to expect because like there's not going to be a 4-minute stretch where he's on the floor where it's not going up at least once. Yeah. And probably 2, 3, 4, 5 times. You know what I mean? It's like you just know. Whereas Acuff really is. And by the way, if the question were framed, who is the better player between the two? Completely different conversation. Like I would maybe even lean Acuff, honestly. But if you're saying who is you more excited to see, I'm more excited to see Meleek Thomas just because I feel like he brings that. You got to get in your seat. You got to make sure he's ready. Like you said, you're counting down the minutes. Acuff is going to be a lot more of a steady guy. And I'm sure he's going to have, by the way, he took over in the first half towards the end. I like to see that. So I hope Darius Acuff is listening and he's like, oh, y'all don't think I'm a showman? Oh, y'all don't think I have a little bit of that dog in me? Like, I am sure we're going to see plenty of that. But I do think Meleek is like you said, appointment television. Like he's one you can't take your eye off of, even if Acuff is the more well-rounded, steady player.
Yeah. But all you in the chat and everybody listening, you can help us out coming up with the name of the corner. You know, like a leakage, leak zone, leak something. You know, leakage area. You know, something about leaking. You know, something really disgusting and inappropriate that we could have it done on.
Feel uncomfortable hearing.
Yes, that's what we love. That's the type of stuff we love. So come up with that. But no, here's the thing: is like I agree with you guys about Meleek, but it's almost like if you want to call it like a Batman and Robin thing, where it's like some people may like Robin because he's got the youthful energy and he's the exciting guy, and he does some cool stuff. And then Batman's just the straight dude that's just I'm going about my business, but I'm still the guy type of thing. Like I could see that happening to where you love the energy from Meleek, but you love the steadiness of an Acuff, and and it's kind of like a Darren McFadden, Felix Jones. Both players were great, but you love them both, but it's not to say like, oh, I love this player more because of this reason. Like they just worked really well together. Maybe that'll be the question. The greatest duo in Razorback sports. Forget the basketball side. Razorback sports. Will they be up there with McFadden and Jones? But either way, right now where it stands, Meleek Thomas leads the way at 60%, 40% for Darius Acuff. So still pretty good right there.
I like that. I like that ratio. I think we're going to be on the right side of history with the way we talk about these freshmen and, like one and done and in the league this time next year. But I continue to see updated draft boards that don't have either one of these guys on them.
It's disgusting.
So, hey, if we want year 2 of these guys and I don't know what the hell these guys are doing in their evaluations, keep evaluating the same way. I would be happy to welcome them both back to this program next year. But I saw one from the I can't remember maybe it was The Athletic or another one, but a reputable guy who does this for a living. And I was just like, what do you need to see from these guys? Good grief.
I'm with you, Curtis, because I've also noticed the same thing. I love checking the mock drafts, and there's so many sites that do NBA mock drafts. It's actually unreal. So if you want to find one that fits your narrative, you can. But yeah, I'm with you. It's all over the place. I've seen some that have Acuff as high as like 12, but then I've also seen him like 49, and then some that, like you said, don't even list them because they're maybe only listing 25, 30 players or whatever. It is very interesting. I'm with you that I'm like, we could sit here and bang our chest and be like, hey, come on, guys, you got to have these guys. But I'm with you where I'm like, just, if y'all want to feel that way, that's cool. We will gladly let it play out. But I have a feeling you're looking at 2 top 20-ish picks.
No. Yeah. Let's see. I guess I'm looking at it the wrong way. I just want to let's just scratch the question. These guys suck. They're not any good. They absolutely cannot play at the next level. They need at least 2-3 years, maybe, to really develop their game before they're ready for the pros. Let's start that campaign.
Moses Moody struggled in the NCAA tournament. He needs to come back for another year. That kind of conversation. So
yes, exactly. He ain't ready.
I mean, listen, Moses Moody, and I defended Moses Moody as an NBA draft prospect back in the day because I know there were Hog fans that were kind of like iffy on that. And I think he's a good prospect, and he's clearly, he's in like his 7th year in the league. I think both of these guys are objectively better prospects, but this is a damn good class. This freshman class in college basketball. I mean, we're going to talk about some of these other games. You look around. I mean, that Peterson kid at Kansas, he's pretty special. Nate Amen, he's not bad. AJ DeBanza, like there's a lot of just high level freshmen in college basketball, and so with it being such a stacked class, maybe they don't go as high as we think. But in terms of prospects, these dudes are as good as we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to play actually a clip from the press conferences. I know we'll get to chats and some other things too, but want to remind everybody that OZK Insurance is the place to get your insurance here in the state of Arkansas, because nobody wants to deal with the hassle of shopping around. You don't have time for that. You just want the best. You want the best, and you want it at the best price. And that's what OZK Insurance can do for you. They're based right here in Arkansas, and though they shop all different, multiple carriers to find the best coverage and price for you. And it doesn't matter if it's home, auto, business, you name it, they got it, they do it, they help out with it, they're the best. And that's why we always recommend OZK Insurance, whether it's Saturdays in Bud Walton Arena or everyday life. You want protection that you can count on, so count on OZK Insurance. They have over 600 5-star reviews on Google. Over 600. Shows you how amazing they are. So don't even take our word for it. Take their own customers and what they say, because they feel like they are the best as well. So give them a call today at 479-715-4200. That's 479-715-4200. You can also check out their website at ozkinsurance.com. Scan that QR code right there on your screen. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. All right, so I wanted to play this clip. I posted this on social media earlier today because, again, let's be honest, these press conferences, about 85, 90% of it's kind of just like, hey, cool, but there's sometimes some things that y'all like to hear. And this was Meleek Thomas last night when he was talking about the developing his game and trying to get him to the next level. I really loved his response.
I really pride myself in stat stuffing. Like, if I know I'm how capable of scoring the ball I am. I'm offensively gifted, so it's like that's going to be there. I'm a will my way to scoring the basketball. So if I could just master defense, master the other things, like the little things that a lot of players is getting paid on nowadays, then it's like the sky's the limits, and there's not going to be no ceiling for my game. So I know I could take care of offense, but like you said, doing everything else is going to be that next level for myself.
I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, that's a nice rehearsed response. I'm like, I don't care. I love the guy that he's just like, yeah, I am the best at offense that's ever existed. I know that. But you know what? It's more than just me being awesome at it. I need to be awesome at other things too. Like that's the true confidence. What I love. What it's like, not saying he's being way too arrogant or too cocky, but I like to have that in a guy who's like a true freshman, especially. I am awesome at this. I know that. You don't have to tell me that, but I plan on being awesome at everything else too. Man, that mentality is just exactly what I want to see from a freshman phenom like him.
Yeah, man. He's a man on a mission, self-belief. What do they say? He's unflappable.
That's right.
Unflappable Meleek Thomas, man.
He is. And to your point, John, about like, because obviously when people talk like this, you could say rehearsed, or it's like, does anyone really wake up every day with that level of confidence? Maybe he does have to talk himself into it, but it's like, to his credit, I've never seen him talk to a camera and say anything other than the crap he was saying last night. I've never seen him walk into any gym and ever have any type of intensity other than what he showed last night, what he's shown in the scrimmages, what he shows in the BWA live events, like when he was in high school, whether it was McDonald's All-American, OTE, like he walks into every gym and has that same, and maybe it is just an act for the cameras, but I'm like, he seems to do it every single day. So it's like, if he wants to keep doing it, yeah, even if it is a manufactured thing, it's like every single clip I've ever seen of him, he talks the exact same way. My
favorite Meleek Thomas clip, and I've got it in my phone. I'd have to scroll and find it or whatever. Maybe I'll play it on Pod at the Palace, but it was it came from Overtime Elite, but it was like the Jordan Brand Classic. It was one of those showcase events, whatever. And he put Melo's son in the rim.
Oh yeah,
dunked on him. And then AJ DeBanzo was talking to him in the locker room afterwards, and somebody just had a little microphone and asked him about it. And he was just like, "Yeah, man, I had malicious intent." I don't know what to tell you. I had malicious intent. I was like, "That's the best phrase I've ever heard."
Hey, John, you couldn't go to any school that I have an offer from. You could not attend any. Oh my gosh!
Like, I mean, when again, I would play that video if it just didn't have the swears in it. But man, that was. Like that's, again, some people will like look at that as being a bad thing. I just love every single second, because how many times, and I think Arkansas's had this in football, maybe more so, but it's like, how many times in basketball have you had a player that is that level good, that level confident, and that level of like showing it, as in like backing it up? That it just doesn't happen. You've had guys that chirp a lot, but they never do anything about it, or they're not to that level, but they're just that guy. You've had guys like, and again, it's not a negative thing, but you guys like a Moses Moody, where that dude was silent, never talked trash, never but it's fine. But to have like the best of all worlds combo of all of that and just letting people know about it, that's what I'm saying. If he goes on the road, and if he goes off for you can't miss those student sections, like Quinn's going to hate him. Like if he goes into Auburn and just goes for 30, and because he's going to let everybody know about it. I love that mentality because it just feels like it's been missing from Arkansas. And again, I don't know, maybe you guys can think of one, maybe like a Daryl Macon, because Daryl kind of had a little chirping to him, and he usually followed up pretty good scoring. Mason Jones a little bit maybe, but just not many players really had all of
type of.
Dude, Mason Jones. I mean, Mason Jones didn't care about what anybody thought then, but just to have again somebody who has been hyped up, living up to the billing, doing all those things, and kind of being a little bit of a jerk about it to his opponents is just perfect. I love that so much.
What makes it even better for me is that every time you watch him when he's doing those things, you get reminded real quickly of like his youthful nature. Like he's so young, he's got the braces, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's talking to you and he's got those braces going. I absolutely love that. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's still a young fella. That dude's going to put on 15, 20 pounds of muscle by the time he's, well into the league and everything. He's just scratching the surface of how good he could be. But in his mind, he's already the best player in the world, or he's going to be one day. So it's a cool thing. Unique. He's a rare breed, Mr. Meleek Thomas.
There was a moment last night early in the first half where it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the first collegiate game. I know that they played exhibitions. We've seen them play a little bit, but it's like, this is the collegiate debut for these guys. Like, this is a moment you grow up dreaming about. This is, for a lot of people, this is the peak of their entire lives. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be a thing or whatever. And I know Meleek started off 1 for 6 or whatever, but I didn't think it was because of theirs. I was watching him and Acuff, just their interactions with their teammates in Cal. Acuff has already mastered the art of kind of waving Cal off. As a point guard, your coach is yelling whatever, and it's like you kind of at some point have to be like, hey, you don't have to yell it. I know. I saw him do that a couple of times with Cal, which I just think is awesome. And it's cool watching Cal. I also watched Tyler Eulis talk to Acuff a lot. Every time he came to the bench, Eulis talked to him.
Dude, that reminds me, there was one point, and me and John were talking about it at the game, where I don't remember what Leak did, but
he just rolled up and just shot like a 3 without passing it pretty much.
Okay, that's right. And it right away, you could see Cal reacting to it. There was a foul on the play, and you could hear Cal, and he was yelling, Leak. He was trying to get him to come over there so he could yell at him during the free throws. And Leak went and pushed somebody out of the lane. That way he could get in there to be a rebounder. And Cal was like, no. And so he yelled at him and made somebody else switch. That way Leak could come back there and get the business. It was hilarious, man.
Yeah. It was, I think I don't know exactly what was going on, but it almost looked like DJ Wagner kind of walked over there. It's almost like, yeah, coach, what you need, I'll go let him know, like kind of thing. If this is like, no, go get him and bring him over here. And he's like, all right, coach. He goes over there. He's like, hey, Leak, man, he wants to talk to you type of thing. It was great. And again, like Cal, that's the greatest thing. Well, one of the greatest things about Cal. None of us will ever have to worry about him not being able to handle a big ego or a like situation of a guy that's kind of like, nah, man, screw you, coach. I'm staying. Like Cal has dealt with the highest of the high of talents and egos and all those things. So I'm never gonna have to worry about, man, is there a problem? Like, remember when Mason Jones and Muss would just be screaming at each other? Everyone's like, oh man, I don't know about this. Like, this is bad. Is there a problem? Is there tension in the locker room? Man, we don't have to worry about that with Cal and one of his players. That dude knows how to handle it. He knows how to deal with it. And that's what makes it great. I don't know, maybe there'll be one day. I just wish that, as weird as it is, that we could just have a Calipari cam. Like during the entire game, like they do with the, like when they have the national championship in college football, they have like the different ESPN channels that have, here's the home broadcast, here's the away broadcast, here's the stat broadcast. Like that'd be so great if we could just have like in one box the game, but then in the other box, just Cal mic'd up and hearing him. It would be the best thing ever. I'd watch it every day.
Because there were like at least a half dozen times where he was super pissed last night for winning a game by 30. Some of those threes that they didn't really contest on when Billy fouled the kid, whatever Sealy was trying to do the first time he was in there with like that 15-foot weird finger roll thing. He did not like that. He got mad at Leak a couple times. There was the maddest I think I saw him was Nick Pringle was he was basically boxing two guys out, and the rebound comes down and it hits the floor, and Malik Ewan's just sitting there watching. Like, he just didn't even make he could have taken 2 steps and went and grabbed the rebound. He just sit there and watched it hit the floor, and Cal lost his mind over that one. But he was not letting Arkansas lower the standard in a game like this, which I love. I think that's great. But it was some interesting moments watching that, man, for sure.
And it's just nice that we get to do some of this learning and evolving while still just whipping arse, man. Just whipping every game. I told Hillary last night, some teams have a schedule. Arkansas just has an ass whipping tour. That's what they have going on. But I like that we can, because I hope we're not conveying that this team is a finished product and that they're like, they're not gonna, there's not things they need to work on, things they need to get better. But we don't have to lose to learn those lessons, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, it's like, again, it's about the expectation you have. And we can use a baseball example for Dave Van Horn. It's like they play a midweek game. Who is it that, I guess they ended up losing it, but like there's been like midweek games where they won barely by like 2 runs over Little Rock or something. And Dave's pissed. And it's like, well, you won. That doesn't matter. You did not play well enough. That's, Nick Saban, we always see that famous clip of him yelling into the huddle when they're up by like 40 points, nickel. And he takes a timeout and he just rips a guy with 40 seconds left, even though they're up 40. It's like, there's a standard. And that just makes you feel so much more confident about what Arkansas has going on and why it's going to be so great. But real quick, because I know we'll get to some of your chats and everything, folks. Curtis, you were talking about Cal getting mad. I didn't see exactly how mad he got on that play, but I remember what play he did get mad at is when Acuff was going on his little run at the end of the half. And like the first 3 he took was the worst 3 like shot selection ever. And he made it. But you could tell when he was coming back, I mean, the snarl, the anger that he had. It's one of those things. I think he maybe said it last year where he's like, if you take that shot, you better make it or else you're coming out. That's one of those shots that he took.
He brought that play up in the press conference there, talking about him taking that shot in transition that he should have given it to Pringle. And then they could have had some give and go and he could have lobbed it up and then he would have made Pringle's day. Yeah, I remember that one because it was right after it was Leek and Acuff on the break, and it was just that terrible lob attempt, and they turned it over. He was already mad, and they come right back down with numbers in transition, and Acuff pulled up. Oh, buddy.
Those are my favorite ones is when coaches get mad at made shots. That's my favorite thing ever. That's my favorite thing ever. So we'll get to your chats. We'll talk some football, folks. We'll have our heavy hitters. We got all that great stuff going on here on the show, but I want to remind everybody that the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas is the place to go to get your vision in check. Because let's be honest, if you're there at the Razorback basketball game and you're having to sit up there in the nosebleeds, you might be looking down there and be like, man, yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't know what's going on. You just have to hear the PA announcer say who's the one that made the shot. It's tough. You don't want to watch games like that. Or maybe you're at home and suddenly the TV's getting a little bit blurry on you, and it's frustrating. There's nothing more frustrating to try to watch things, and then you can't make out of it. That's the worst. Well, don't hesitate any longer. Don't wait any longer. Have the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas get you taken care of. They're able to perform cataract surgery for you before the end of 2025, which is huge because we know we're getting close there and you don't want to waste any time. You can get it done right now. You can get your eyes examined by Dr. Rebecca Brown to make sure that they're all good to go. Make sure that there's not anything that you could possibly need, anything to improve your vision. Don't wait any longer. And also don't forget Botox, filler, IPL, everything that they could provide with their aesthetics provider, Olivia Risch. They do it all at the Eye Center. And last time I checked, that's one of the senses in your life is seeing and your vision. Well, it's be nice to see. So start seeing with the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas. Schedule appointment today at the Eye Center of NWA, 479-442-2020. That's 479-442-2020. You can also check out their website at eyecenernwa.com. That's eyecenernwa.com for more info. All right. So again, I know we'll have our heavy hitters. We'll get to making the case, which is always everyone's favorite thing for a new football coach. This time we're going to do Will Stein. If you don't know who he is, don't worry. We're going to tell you after a while. So we'll get into that as well as some other things too. But let's get into some of your chats. Appreciate everybody tuning in, especially for the basketball side of things. And we got a few members that are celebrating some memberversaries. Is that what we want to call them? Yeah. Is that a good play on words?
That sounds good.
Memberversaries. Shout out to Jakota. It says 3 months. Time's flying. Keep up the good work, gents. Thank you, Jakota.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Your obsession with flying and plane tracking and all that stuff, man. I'm glad you're staying on brand with it. So that's appreciated. Dylan, who's got 2 months, says, Curtis, I remember that you picked Auburn to beat us when we go to the jungle. I feel like that needs to be reassessed. Crying, laughing emoji. Love you guys at Inside Arkansas.
I was just waiting to see if Quinn appeared since we mentioned Auburn. No, nothing there. Okay, all right, fair enough. Did they dodge a bullet last night?
And here's the thing: it's like it's the first game, doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. They'll probably be fine, but it is one of those deals to where it's nice when your team is like, we just cruise through a win, and they see other teams that you're going to be going up against in the conference being like, oh, well, man, what's going on over there, huh? Oh, well, what's happening over there? It's kind of the same thing when Kentucky lost that exhibition game. Did it mean anything? No, not at all. But it was like, oh, well, I wouldn't know what it's like to struggle in an exhibition game over here. I can tell you that. It's just nice.
There's nothing better than scrolling scores after your team took care of business and you're looking down on all the peasants and everything. Is it bad, Curtis, that I am glad Auburn won because I'm already worried about Arkansas's BPI and their KenPom and all their stupid metrics. And I'm like, I literally thought about that where I'm like, if Auburn loses this game, Arkansas plays them twice, so it's like that's going to affect Arkansas's metrics.
Yeah, well, don't worry. Auburn's still 9 spots ahead of Arkansas in BPI this morning. So
you know who else is above Arkansas in BPI? Cincinnati.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Like 3 spots lower or something like that. It's like, come on, bro.
Curtis, I know you've talked about it, and I know Muss was complaining, but I'm like, is there worse ranking systems for the amount of ranking systems there are than some of the college basketball ranking systems? Some of them, I get it. There's algorithms, there's math, and some of them are good, and I'm not going to get all right, but I'm just like, geez, man, some of these, doesn't make any sense at all.
It's crazy, man. And eventually you play the games and it kind of takes care of itself. But with every year, it's like one of these gets exposed and somebody kind of cracks the code. Sometimes there are the Ion College basketball guys call it computer trickers, where it was like LSU that year. You guys remember that? Where they were just top 15 in the net and they lost 14 games. It was crazy how it just kept happening. You're like, how have they tricked the algorithms? It doesn't make sense. And then in other cases, they're sleep on you, man. They just don't like it. So whatever, if Arkansas takes care of business, they'll be where they need to be. But I think last night it was case in point on why you want to start in a good spot. That way you don't have to do this continuous climb. Arkansas's looked great. They just had an awesome performance and they dropped last night in the BPI. And they went up 1 spot at Torvik. They went up, I think, 4 spots at KenPom or whatever. But this is why you want to have a good starting point there. It's kind of baffling. All I want to know is in these predictives and these computer things, what is it about Arkansas that they don't like? Because I know it's kind of tough. You got new players and to get a baseline and everything, but when you have the most returning production in the SEC, that gives you a pretty good baseline. You got 2 starting centers who have played high major basketball that you kind of know what they're good for. And I don't know. I think I would probably bake in some goodies there for your 2 5-star freshmen that are killing it. I just don't know where the disconnect is with a thing like BPI or KenPom or whatever. It seems like this should be a team that by the numbers people are really excited about.
Well, at one point I was kind of thinking about it because I'm like, okay, well, Trevin Brazil's a guy that we expect to be really good, and I think his stats this year are going to exceed everything he's done in his career, especially the last couple of years where he was like a 7 per game type of guy. And so, yeah, if you're doing a computer metric, it probably doesn't view him that great. But what's weird about that, Curtis, is the Torviks of the world that actually do look at individual players and how much they factor in. They are higher on Arkansas than some of these other weighted team net rating things, and I know KenPom does a little bit of player stuff as well. Carter Knox would be another one of those guys that is a better player than the numbers of his career really show. I guess Billy would also kind of fit that criteria. You could say kind of the same for Nick Pringle, although I don't expect him to have a massive statistical increase or anything like that. And then, of course, 2 freshmen, they're your best players. But really, I think that maybe is a big part of it is Arkansas's 3 best players, Thomas, Acuff, and Brazil. We all know they're good. We know they're going to put up good numbers, but there is not a ton of computer. The Pythagorean theorem doesn't say that they've scored a ton of points in their career. So all of a sudden we have to pretend that they're bad right now.
It's just my favorite thing. I think back to, I know with Eric Musselman and stuff, but it seemed like there was questions in the press conference almost be like, hey coach, you're this ranking in the net. What are your thoughts? Because he knew you're going to get something. He knew he was going to be like, let me tell you, he's like, I don't understand this going off on it. But yeah, it's,
I was going to say, once we really got to know that staff and everything, like I would occasionally get a text, 15 minutes before a press conference that was like, "Hey, have you thought about asking something like this?" You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, it would be something like that. Like they got snubbed in the AP poll, or wow, that you got a quad 1 win last night and your net dropped or whatever. And we could just tee Muss up for certain things.
Muss would wake up at 4 a.m. As soon as the clock ticks over and those metrics kick in, he knew every single number. You could bring up Ken Palm and he would list off. He's like, "Oh yeah, they have us losing here. Yeah, they have us below." He knows exactly where they stand. That LSU team where they beat them 3 times and we're below them in net. That was like his final straw.
Yep.
See, and that's the difference with Cal. It's like with Cal, he'll just say whatever he wants to say because he'll be like, "Hey, coach, what'd you think about your 3-point defense last night?" Well, I'm going to tell you something about transfer portal and why I hate it. It's just like, okay, it just has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But hey, you're John Calipari. You're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So let's see other chats here too. Just I love this. This is a fact, actually. I believe Dan Tanner says the Razorbacks are averaging 109 points per game. Is this true? Can we verify this?
That is true.
Okay,
Yeah.
good deal.
That's
Good
true. 4 players averaging in double figures. The 3 that we've talked about a lot, and Isaiah Sealy.
Ooh, how about that?
There you go.
Well,
Double-digit point scorer, Isaiah Sealy.
Yes, sir.
the 3 freshmen. Ooh, how about that? Step up
it's
your
a
game,
three-headed
vets.
monster. We keep talking about keep talking about duos. It's a 3-headed dragon, this freshman class.
Yeah. Speaking of Sealy, I like this from 94 Hogs because I forgot about it too. He said Cal talking about Sealy was going to be on Sports Center. He said you put your both arms in the rim, win by 30, and your coach is roasting you in post game.
Dude, yeah, he gave him the business about getting dunked on, and then he was like, he's saying he's a little bit behind. He's got to know where to be on defense and everything. He's super talented, and he was like, he's going to get opportunities. We hope Carter plays this weekend, which means he'll get less opportunities. I was like, damn.
That's funny though.
Yeah, he was very brutally honest about Isaiah Sealy and just everything, and it made me laugh. Which again, I appreciate. Let's see. Also, people talking about the crowd. We'll get to the crowd. I'll be talked about because I'm going to use that as part of the heavy hitters. I know. Just give me a second. It'll make sense.
Interesting.
Yes, it'll make sense. Let's see. Okay, got Cats by 21 says y'all are just learning what good freshmen look like. Yes,
You'll never know again.
that's true. It's true. But you know what? They know what they will know. They'll know what good outdoors and hiking kids that they have. They'll really know that. And about kids that just get it. They just get it. They understand. They understand. They understand that they get it. They get that they understand it. Is what I'm saying.
Known for his recruiting
recruiter, I
prowess.
knew.
Mark Pope, just a lightning bolt of a recruiter, man. No top freshman could say no to Mark Pope. He was. I saw him. He was shaming me for listing Moses Moody when I was just talking about freshmen and good freshmen. And I get it. Moses Moody's not the greatest prospect in history, but I'm like, it's a very respectable, one of the best freshmen. I mean, he was the freshman of the year, right? And he was a lottery pick. It's him and Anthony Black, and a couple years apart. It's not like there's never been good freshmen at Arkansas.
I know. It's funny. The reason that Kentucky had all those good freshmen that they're talking about, that reason is no longer there. He's here. And now you guys can't use it to brag about it because you didn't like that anymore. So just saying, get over it.
Weird bit to be like, ha ha, now you're the team with all the really good players. Yeah, I guess we are.
It sucks to suck. Yeah. No, that's great. Okay, a couple other. I like this from Dylan because we're talking about the area that Meleek shoots. He says, "All your drains leaking. Call Drain Masters of Arkansas."
I mean, honestly,
we're gonna have to get Drain Masters of Arkansas in Bud Walton Arena because that corner is gonna be leaking a lot.
That's right. That's right, man. That was pretty good. And also, David says Leak is the most likely to drop 40 since Mace. Is this true?
I feel like Meleek Thomas plays as if someone challenged him to score 40.
Yeah.
He scores. Yeah. I mean, dude, dropping 40 in college basketball does not happen as often as you might think.
No, that's the thing is, I don't know, because I agree with you. I don't know why that's what makes the Mason Jones year, which I know that didn't go to the tournament or anything. That's what makes it so incredible is he had multiple 40-point games. And it wasn't because, Arkansas just had all this talent. Every team they faced knew who was going to shoot. They knew who was going to score. They knew who the best player was, and they still couldn't stop him. So
it's crazy
Maybe
that
Note never hit 40. He had
I know
30.
he had 30.
He put 30 on Kentucky, I remember.
30 and 8, too,
Finch
in that
says
one.
Battle had 42, and I know he had a game against Memphis where he hit like 9 threes or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Battle maybe on A&M or somebody he did that? Or was that Mark that had a huge
Mark
game?
had like 30. He had like 36 in a game winner. Maybe it was 40. But yeah, that weirdly enough, the worst Arkansas team in the last decade is the team that produced the most 40-point threats, we should say.
Yeah. The two teams that didn't make the tournament. The only two teams that didn't make the tournament over the past
Mason's team, they were going to win that SEC tournament.
They were on their way. They were
undefeated in the SEC tournament when the season ended.
Battle put 42 on Missouri.
That was that game we watched in Arlington.
Yeah, he had this was his 3-game run. He had 42 on Missouri, 36 on Vandy, and 34 on Kentucky.
That's good hoop.
Jeez.
That was post suspension. Caleb Battle. He was a different demon.
After telling Muss to S&D and getting benched for his second half, then he found it.
Is that why he got suspended? Is that wrong? Was that wrong to say to your coach? To say
probably
something like
shouldn't.
That?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think if what happened if one of the players said that to Cal?
I just don't think
coach, man. He'd probably do it.
Dude, I think that if someone said that to Cal, they'd start their car the next morning and end up being a highway. Like they'd end up like he'd have some like Goodfellas stuff coming at you if you start doing that.
Don't get into a cab if you tell Coach Cal to do that.
Exactly. All right, so we'll have more of your chats too, folks, here on the show. But we do want to remind everybody that Hickey and Hole Law is the official law firm here of Inside Arkansas, and if there's ever anything that you need handled, and it could be divorce cases, custody cases, criminal cases, civil litigation cases, personal injury cases, state planning cases, all these cases, you just need to have the pros. Don't do it by yourself. Don't go on to Google and just be like, oh, hey, Chat GPT, is this going to help me out in doing this? Don't do that, because you need the personal touch. You need someone to be with you every single step of the way, and that is what Hickey and Hole Law Partners can provide for you here in the state of Arkansas. They have handled thousands of family law cases and have experienced every scenario that may come up. So give them a call. Have them handle it for you by calling 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also visit their website at hickeyandhole.com. Scan that QR code at the top, at the corner of your screen there, and it'll take you right to their website. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. All right, so we'll have our heavy hitters here in just a little bit, and we'll have more of your chats. And we'll have some more basketball, but we'll shift gears a little bit to another great Making the Case for our Razorback football side of things. His coaching search is still ongoing. I don't know if you guys knew about it. Still going, still happening. The new intel is out there. It's not. No one knows anything. But there's a lot of coaches that continue to go around. We've talked a lot about certain few of them, and some of them we've talked more about. But as we continue on, some of the names that get thrown around will be guys like Will Stein, the offensive coordinator of Oregon. This is not one that has any sort of connection, like, oh, his wife used to babysit John Tyson's kids or something stupid like that. It's just, hey, guys at Oregon, been successful, and he's also a name that's getting mentioned. And when we do our voting on InsideArkansas.com each and every week, I would say he's been in the top 5 for a bit, but normally he's like right there at 6 or 7, so still into the mix. And so from this perspective, I believe, guys, this is also the first coach that we've talked about that's not a current or former head coach. This is a coordinator. So if Arkansas was to hire or want to hire Will Stein, the offensive coordinator of Oregon, make the case as to why that would be a great hire for Arkansas.
Feels like he's probably at the top of the list of coordinators getting ready to make that jump. Here's my thought process, man. If you want to find the next Dan Lanning, maybe you should just take Dan Lanning's right-hand man. You know what I mean? That sounds like a pretty good idea to me. A revered offensive mind, young up-and-comer. It's a swing. You know what I mean? Like it comes with risk, obviously, but it also comes with, I think, the potential upside that could be program altering. I don't use that term lightly, but look at what those guys who have hit recent years that have made this type of jump, what that's done for those respective programs. So I think other guys are safer options, more proven, better resumes. You know what you're going to get, but I also think you also know some of the limitations there. And so there's an element of unknown, but with a guy like Stein, I think it excites me. Like it would be a fun brand of football, and he would need just what everybody else does, because that's the caveat, right? Of like, oh, you need the resources. You got to have this much NIL. He's got to have the support to go do this and that. And yeah, maybe he needs a little bit extra in that assistant or the staff pool because he's going to need to get some older guys around him with experience. Yeah, sure. That's going to be the case with so many of these dudes, but there's something about this that excites me. And so I don't know that he'd be number one on my board. You know, want you to swing for the fences or whatever, but I would low key be super excited about a guy like Will Stein.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about being forward thinking and doing something before it might be too late. Because think about it. If Will Stein, let's say Will Stein gets a job at, Texas Tech, just a random school. He becomes a head coach at Texas Tech. And then all of a sudden he goes 10-2 in the Big 12, 3 straight years. Well, then all of a sudden he's getting the Bama job. He's getting the LSU job. He's going to get a massive job, especially because at that point he'd be 40, 42, and it'd be like, okay, this guy's clearly the next big thing. Like Arkansas, there's a lot of guys that, were coordinators at one point that now Arkansas would have no chance at hiring. And I think, I'm not saying that Will Stein's going to be that, but I think there's something to that premise of trying to be forward thinking and getting a young, energetic guy who clearly knows something on the offensive side of the football. I'm going to make the case by simply looking at what would be the case against him. If you were going to look at Will Stein and you say, why would you not hire him? Well, he's, inexperienced. He hasn't been a head coach. Did you have something to say, John?
I was just going to say, I know why I wouldn't hire him.
Yeah. What would be the reason why you would not hire? What would be the biggest case you could make against him?
Because I'm older than him. And that makes me feel old.
No, that's
honestly what it would. That's my point, though. I agree with you, but it's like that would be the one.
100%. And and that's completely valid of like, oh yeah, this guy's never been a head coach at the high level before. Could he be a head coach at Arkansas? That's a valid question. I would just encourage some people to look at the top 25 teams in college football. And I'm gonna cut it off arbitrarily at 22. Of the top 22 teams in the rankings as of today, 14 of them currently have a head coach who made a direct jump from coordinator to head coach and had not been a head coach at a high major program before. Some of them had been head coaches at like high schools or whatever, but had never been a collegiate head coach, including the number one team in the country, Ohio State, who of course just promoted their OC. But I mean, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, although Ole Miss is not necessarily that because Kiffin did not make a direct jump. But there's even a few other guys. I mean, there's 14 of them that made a direct jump, but there's also 5 or 6 like a Heupel, like a Kiffin, like a Lincoln Riley, who were high-level assistants that maybe had one head coaching job before. And so I would say it's not really that uncommon. In fact, not only not uncommon, it's maybe the most direct path to upgrading your program is finding one of these up-and-coming coordinators who is clearly on a trajectory to be a head coach. And I think there's something to that. I also think, man, if because everybody loves Jeff Traylor for whatever reason, and I'm sure there's some people who love Jeff Traylor and they say, well, I really am intrigued by Jeff Traylor, but for some reason, his first 3 years at UTSA were a lot better than his last 3 years. I don't know, just something happened after 2022 where they went from winning 11, 12 games a year. Now they're winning 7, 8 games a year. It's just maybe just one of those things. It's not one of those things. He had an offensive coordinator named Will Stein who was throwing the ball all over the country, leading the nation in total yards, total offense, all this. Now, all of a sudden, he doesn't have Will Stein, and he's still a good coach. He's still competent, still running the program, doing a good job. There was clearly some magic there that he lost. Oregon, I would also say, went from being one of those just solid, pretty good, 6, 7, 8 wins program, kind of recovering back. All of a sudden, they have Will Stein, and now they are basically the best program on the West Coast, and taking over the Big Ten now. I think there's something to that. And so is he directly responsible for all of Oregon's success? Probably not. I look at recruiting rankings. I see Oregon in the top 5, top 6 every single year. How responsible is he for that? I don't know. I genuinely don't know the answers to, but I'd be interested to hear from him of what lessons he learned from Traylor, learned from Dan Lanning, how much he's evolved as a recruiter. His offense clearly works at a very high level against the best of the best competition. He's done it with different quarterbacks, different wideouts, different everything. I think there's a lot to that. I think if you throw a boatload of money at a young guy like that and you can really get the state to get behind him, I think you could do a whole lot worse than Will Stein.
Yeah, for me, if you're going to hire a coordinator, he's my number one pick that I would want to hire. If you're going to go a coordinator route, Yeah, and I mentioned his age. It's more of just me feeling old because it'd be like the head coach of Arkansas is younger than me. It just kind of hits a little bit different if that happened. But
Makes you question a lot of life decisions,
Exactly. It's one thing to be older than the players, but when you become older than the coach, it's a weird deal. But I always am very fascinated by meteoric rises in coaching ranks, and he's had it. I know he's the quarterback at Louisville, so who knows? Maybe he'll go home to Louisville and be their coach one day. But he played from 2008 to 2012 at Louisville, and then he was a GA in 13. He was the quarterback coach in 2014. Then he became the quarterback coach at Texas in 2015, 16, 17. Then becomes the Lake Travis High School assistant head coach, offense coordinator, quarterback coach. Then goes to UTSA in 2020 and 2021 as the wide receiver coach. And then 2022 is then the co-OC at quarterback. And then 23, he goes to Oregon. So it's like pretty meteoric where he's all over the place. And I don't know, again, you could be a little bit weary of that, but I'm also like, there must be something about him that makes him really good to where he keeps getting these great opportunities.
100%. By the way, it was Charlie Strong that he played for at Louisville and then coached under at Louisville, then followed him to Texas, of course. And Charlie Strong, I know, was another guy that also had a meteoric rise or whatever. I think there's something to that. When he was at Lake Travis, by the way, he coached Garrett Wilson, who is now playing for the Jets and was like one of the best receiver in the country. And so he got a lot of credit for that in the moment. I think that's what got him these opportunities at UTSA and so on. Also, the guy who had his current job before him was Kenny Dillingham. And so, I don't know what his relationship is like with Kenny Dillingham or how close they are or if they keep in touch or whatever. But, I think there's some things you can learn from that guy. I think there's some things you can learn from Dan Lanning, who's clearly built one of the best programs in college football that he had a front row seat for. Even Charlie Strong, who I know didn't have the great coaching career we expected, that's a good coach to learn from. That's, by the way, a defensive coach that he probably learned some program building techniques about. Jeff Traylor, who, of course, is a very respected guy in the state of Texas and high school, built a lot of great relationships. I just think there's a lot on Will Stein's very small resume that you look at and you're like, oh, I could see how that would lend itself to him being pretty good. And then he just has kind of advanced pretty quickly, but he's done a hell of a job literally everywhere he's gone.
You know what scares me about, if he's real high on your list and you want to get him, is every day I see Jeff Brom popping up on some of the lists for these big schools. And I know he's at his alma mater at Louisville, but money talks, man. And he's a hell of a coach. And if he got plucked, that just feels like the most obvious natural landing spot in the world for a guy like Stein. And he would kill it there and it would piss me off.
Yep. Yep, yeah. Absolutely. And by the way, if you guys just want to know what the Google AI said about him as an offensive coordinator and what his strengths and weaknesses are, I started finding this out, which I know how people feel about AI, but it is fascinating because they take a bunch of different information. So here are the offensive strengths of Will Stein, according to the AI. Elite production, which I guess we can definitely see as far as the numbers go. Quarterback development. Strategic simplicity, because it says that Stein simplifies the playbook to reduce decision-making time for players, which allows them to play faster and more confidently. Versatility, where a system blends spread and pro-style elements. Allowing for adaptability. Also key concepts where he chooses to use frequent RPOs and has a foundational element of crossing routes. And then also defensive deception. The offense uses elements like read options, stuff like that. Now his weaknesses, though, roster dependence. Says that he stated that he has to build his scheme around the strengths of players on the roster, which can shift from year to year for his offense identity. I don't necessarily see that as a weakness, but that's what it says. And then also
he's had 3 different quarterbacks. It was like he made Bo Nix, which, by the way, Bo Nix has sucked at every level of football, high school, college, and NFL. Every single season Bo Nix has had, he has sucked, except for when he was with Will Stein. Dylan Gabriel was the guy after him. Now that freshman they have, Dante Moore, he's like the best freshman in the country. So, which, by the way, these are all super talented, highly recruited guys still.
Yeah. And then finally, over complexity. Because he says that Stein admitted that his offenses have sometimes been too complicated early in the season, which led to early struggles, but then adapted as time went on. So there you go. Pretty much his weaknesses are he adapts too well and he gets better during the season. So those are his weaknesses according to Google AI. But
my biggest weakness is that I just care too much.
Yes.
Too good of a leader.
Too good of a leader. Feel too good. Yeah. Yeah. It's So again, if there's a lot of different coaches that if Arkansas hired, I would be fine with. I'm definitely would be fine with the Will Stein. Again, he's a young pup. I didn't even realize too, not only did he play at Louisville, not only did he coach at Louisville, he was literally born in Louisville. Like that dude is Louisville through and through. So yeah, that would be if you hired him.
Papa John's.
Yeah, maybe we'll ask him if he gets a coach.
You just have Papa John's bag if you come to Arkansas, Will Stein.
Yeah, yeah. But that would be the thing of like, yeah, if that job opened up, wouldn't that be Arkansas's luck? Is like they get Will Stein in like year 2 or 3 or just year 1 or 2, he just explodes on the scene, like just working fools. And like you said, Curtis Braun gets fired and he goes to Louisville. And you're like, great. Even when we had something good, we couldn't even keep it here because he had to go back. Of all the jobs, had to go to Louisville. So,
what are the chances that Will Stein could talk Charlie Strong into being his defensive coordinator at Arkansas? Arkansas born and bred, Charlie Strong, Batesville's own. What are the chances? He's currently the D-line coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He can't be having that much fun over there, right? You want to teach Vita Vea how to rush the passer, or you want to come build a great program at Arkansas? Your choice.
And hey, do you know where he's from? Charlie Strong, you know where he's from?
He's an Arkansas boy, bro. He's Arkansas. He's a hog, bro. He grew up with a red nose. Yeah,
that's right. Batesville's own. Him, Gage Wood, and Mark Martin. All there's something about Batesville, man. Mark Martin, Gage Wood, and Charlie Strong, all from Batesville, man. So either way, but yeah, we'll continue on this series. There'll be some other names we throw around. There'll be other names that we won't even pay attention to because they're not even serious. So, but it's always fun to talk about.
I don't think the chat is I don't think they're anti Will Stein or they're pro. I just don't think they care.
Yes, I know.
I don't think the audience cares about Will Stein. I don't think he moves the needle for people.
Yeah, I get it, but hey. It moves the needle for some people because y'all keep voting on them in the system that they're in the polling that we have. So let's go ahead and get into our heavy hitters here on the show, presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. We know that here in the state of Arkansas, you never know when those storms are going to hit, man. It's always going to be tough, especially during the wintertime, as you could end up having snow, you can end up ice, strong winds, the cold that's coming through, ends up being a little drafty in your house. There's just a lot of issues that could end up happening to your roof. And the last thing that you want to do is be unprepared, to be having to deal with the after effects. Well, don't worry about that anymore. Have HD Roofing and Construction come out for a free inspection to make sure that your roof is good to go. If your roof is good to go, they're going to tell you so. If it needs a repair, they're going to tell you so. If it needs to be replaced entirely, they're going to tell you so. But they're always going to be honest with you. They're always going to give you the best advice, the best information possible. And they are going to make sure that whatever they do it with professionalism, using the top quality materials, and having that expert installation as well for all of your roofing needs. So give them a call today if you're in the Northwest Arkansas area at 479-957-1928. That's 479-957-1928. Or you can check out their website at hdarkansas.com. It's HD Roofing and Construction, part of our heavy hitter segment here on Inside Arkansas. So, all right, guys, I'll go ahead and kick it off for my heavy hitter. I'm going to give one that's just my secondary one, and then I'll wait till the end for the last one because I feel like we could probably use that as a conversation piece. But I wish I could play the clip. Shout out to Baker Mayfield referencing Fayetteville, Arkansas last night on the Manning Cast. It was great to hear, man. It was again, we would play it, but we'd get hit with demonetization here. But essentially, what it was is they were asking about him and the Manning brothers, asking about his escapability and his ability to get out of the pocket and everything. And he kind of made the joke of like, yeah, well, there's one time I didn't do so well when I was in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and got arrested. And he said, ever since that point in time, I've improved my game and everything. So it was really funny, and made the video start popping up once again of when that time he did get arrested in Fayetteville. But I'll always, every time I think about it, I always remember when he went on First Take, whatever was it Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, when Skip was just like, why did that happen in Fayetteville? It's just so weird. And he's like, Dixon Street, it'll get you. And that still just is one of my favorite clips. So my heavy hitter, shout out to Baker Mayfield, having a good spirit about it and shouting out the great city of Fayetteville during his very short stint in this city, not as a player, but as I guess the guy who got booked for and arrested. Anyways, I just loved it. I love seeing that and love that he still has a good attitude about it.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. I've got a couple. One in general, just like college hoops, man. It just feels really good to have it back as a college basketball junkie. Yesterday wasn't crazy with the marquee matchups. It was like the Arizona-Florida game was the headliner. We didn't watch that because we were paying attention to what Arkansas had going on. BYU Villanova, whatever. Villanova kind of stinks, but Debansa had a big game. It was just cool to see all that. I got to give a shout out to Field of 68. Like I very rarely do such things, but they used to do the college basketball opening day marathon, like the games that start at midnight or whatever, and they just go 24 straight hours, and they stopped doing it. And it was like an expense thing. So shout out to those guys for, putting together a 6-game marathon there. I know their stream crashed for a while or whatever, but hell, at least they're making a concerted effort to do it. So I thought that was pretty cool for them to give the mid-majors a little bit of love and some showcase opportunities. And then, how about Amir Brown getting some tick last night? Got to show him a little bit of love. How about big Elmer Javic making a free throw and getting on the board in his collegiate debut? So it was good to see Arkansas win a game the way they did. And even though I guess at a timeout, he subbed all those guys in with like 3 minutes left and then subbed them all back out and wound up putting them back in for the final couple minutes. I don't know if he was just like, I'm not ready for this yet or what's going on, but it was good to see those guys get a little bit of tick. Some guys have some success. Elmer make a free throw because, dude, last year they didn't really have many guys like that, first of all. And secondly, we never saw them because they weren't beating teams' asses like this. So cool for those dudes to be out there and getting a little bit of run. I thought that was fun. And shout out to the guy who won the team that won the Fry mattress slide across Bud Walton Arena game that they played during a time.
Dude, shout out to the kid who won the Slim Chickens golf thing. How about that? The
that
kid
was cool too. Yeah,
he hit a 94-foot putt, and I remember like looking at the moment. I'm like, dude, how does anyone ever make this? Like even on grass, it's really hard. You're on wood, that's hard to putt. But I was impressed with that. Yeah, they didn't do the tic-tac-toe. No tic-tac-toe for us. We just got the fry shuffle. But so the NBA season is now, I guess, 2 weeks old. And for the second time in the young season, I will be naming a Los Angeles Laker my heavy hitter, Nick Smith Jr. Got to give the dude a big shout out, man. Had 25 points, 6 assists on 10 of 15 shooting, knocked down 5 of 6 from 3 last night. The Lakers had a game where they just completely, no LeBron, hadn't played yet this year, no Luka, no Austin Reeves, who had been the guy kind of carrying them. They had to play Bronny James real minutes in this game. Bronny James played 19 NBA minutes last night, but Nick Smith Jr., who of course is in his second home, I really was happy about that. Will this like kickstart his career? I don't know, but I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, the Lakers were 10-point underdogs. They sat everybody and just kind of were punting the game, and then all of a sudden you have a young, hungry shooter off the bench that just kills it. 25 points. I love that. And I also want to give a shout out. This is not my heavy hitter, but Khalil Ware, man. Y'all remember Khalil Ware from Little Rock, man, who, by the way, school teammate of Nick Smith Jr. He's unbelievable. He's having a crazy year for the Miami Heat, and he just is a freak, man. He's ended up being way better than I thought he would be.
Yeah, no, he is good, man. He is good, and that's it's good to see the in-state kids getting some run there too. I would say my heavy hitter would be the New York Jets, but they're just selling everybody, so they still suck. Yeah. But either way, trading everybody. But no, like I had this other thing because I was going to use this topic, which people are bringing up in the chat, and we'll do that. But my heavy hitter when it comes to the crowd last night at Bud Walton Arena, it's probably weird. I'm just giving a heavy hitter to the student section. That's all I'm saying, because they at least showed up. They were there early. It was a good showing, everything like that. I didn't have any complaints from that as far as their involvement for all intents and purposes. But I know that it's just as good as that was, man. It just seems like are we going to do this? Not to say we as in us on the show, but just is it going to be like it was last year where it's just going to be a topic of conversation for all these games? Or is it just something that and I hate to do this, but is it like something we're just going to have to accept? Is it something we're just going to have to deal with? Is it something we're just going to have to be like, listen, like we don't know. No, because was problems last year and it doesn't look like anything's been done to try to remedy the issue. Like I don't know. I don't know about it.
Yeah. Shout out to the students for sure. They showed up and showed out. I was pretty impressed with that. A quick shout out to the kids that were playing at halftime and making shots, hitting threes, and they were getting a big ovation. That's probably pretty cool for them. There was like a jump ball in there, and the student section was going crazy, like, it's a jump ball, it's a jump ball. I thought that was funny, man. So yeah, they did a good job. And look, fellas, I'm not blaming anyone here, or maybe I'm blaming everyone. I don't know. Like, I'm not pinning this on anything specific. I get it. reseating corporate greed, a day that ends in Y, an early tip. Okay, fine. There was a chance it'd be cloudy after the game. I get it. The crowd sucked. There was nobody there. It was very, very lightly attended, and people say, "Oh, it's Southern," and I understand all the reasons. That doesn't change the facts, though. You know what I mean? Like, how do we solve it? I don't know. And I'm sure we'll get into this conversation because we do. It seems like annually now, all of a sudden, but that was a really, really lightly attended game. And no, it hasn't always been like that. They could at least fill the damn lower bowl for Eric Musselman, and it just didn't happen. So it's frustrating because I know Razorback fans are real passionate about this team. Everybody's excited about this group. It's a top 15 squad. You got NBA talent in there. They're fun to watch. And I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to get to games. So again, like, I'm not just saying, where are the fans? Get your butts in the seat. No, it's not that at all. But if you were there and you looked around, there weren't people there. And that's an issue that I hope they get fixed, because the product on the floor is better than the attendance in the building. And I don't know what the disconnect is, but I hope that we can figure it out.
Yeah, and to be clear, like, because I know there's a lot of people who are, going to comment and be like, well, I'm out of town. Of course I would go if I had a ticket, or, I can't afford or whatever. Like, that's all fine. You are not who we are upset with. We are kind of baffled by how many people own tickets. I mean, literally half the arena, damn near. Tickets that are bought, sold, everything, and they just don't show up. And so it's like, there's so many different avenues, whether that's John on Twitter, whether that's the site they have where you can give your tickets back. There are so many avenues on social media, wherever, the world we live in today. There are people all the time who want to go to these games. If you can't find anyone else, call me, because I don't have a ticket every single game. And when I do have a ticket, I go. Call me or whoever. But it's like, there are so many avenues to give your tickets to someone else. It's unacceptable that so many tickets are not only going just unused, but there's nobody that's even trying. You know what I mean? And I know there are people that donate, and I'm sure not all of those get used and all that, but it's really crazy. And I don't really understand it, man. And I what's stopping them at the very least from just after the first or second media timeout saying, hey, everyone in the upper section, let's come on down to the lower bowl. Let's fill this thing up, because you also need to get the atmosphere. It ruins the atmosphere. I mean, I get it. You have a 20,000 seat venue. And so even if you have 14, 15,000, it might be spread out and not be sounding crazy. It will not sound like that if you have everyone in the lower bowl. So at least on television, we don't look like a joke of a program that doesn't care about our team.
Yeah, see, that's like you said, guys said, it just doesn't make sense. And it's sad because, in baseball, I know it's a different arena and stadium, all that, but in baseball, it's like, I've never seen a midweek game and being like, geez, no one's here. This is crap. This is terrible. Football, for crying out loud, there's people still showing up to see this team. It's maybe not to the high percentages and all of that. I know it's not during the week. Like, I know that there's different reasons behind it, but the basketball one is just one of the more baffling ones because of how quickly it changed. I mean, we're talking about just 2, 3, 4 years ago where, I mean, you were seeing 17, 18,000 people for midweek games against nobodies. And then it's not that way anymore. Like, I agree with you, Curtis. It's not just like one group that is to blame. And it's not like, just one easy, direct, black and white reason. But it's one of those deals where I'm like, let's try to figure this out, as a collective group. And I'm talking about the U of A. I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about just for the U of A's perspective, find out and start talking, start getting feedback or whatever. It's like, why aren't you going to games? If you have tickets, why aren't you going? And if you're not, and why aren't you having someone use them? Is it because can't get them sold? Like, what is it? Find the reasons out and then fix the problem, because it's embarrassing to see other programs in this conference, especially with not as good of teams, not as good of a product, not as good of excitement, and they have no problem putting butts in the seats. And I get it. 20,000 people at Bud Walton Arena, that's a lot more than most. Mm-hmm. But I just don't see anyone else having the major issue of it. Is it the accessibility to get to the game? As we had to kind of witness last night, is finding parking and then finding, a way to, is it that? Is it just, you don't see it as fun because it's not a must see event because of all the, different segments that take energy out? Like, that would be my thing. It's just finding out, let's all figure out why, what's the biggest reasons, and then remedy it. And as you said, little things like maybe bringing the fans down who are up there in the upper deck, little things like that, I think would really go a long way. Or, if it's for tickets, say for one of these games like a Southern, just be like, hey, we're selling tickets for $1 a piece for anybody that's not using them, and and start promoting that. Or I don't know. I really wish I could just sit here and say there was an easy answer, but I know that it's a problem. I know it's embarrassing, and I know I think everybody wants it fixed. So let's figure this out and fix it. That's all I'm asking.
Real quick, I just see this because it says, who could expect a sellout? It is sold out. It was sold out last night. Every single game this season is sold out. So it's like that's our whole point. It'd be one thing if we're just saying, oh yeah, it's not a big opponent, we couldn't sell the arena out. We have sold the arena out. That's already been done. And you have, matter of fact, people waiting, people that have had season tickets for 20 years that are not getting season tickets because these guys are doing because all these seats are being reseated and it's going to all these corporations that don't show up. There should be some type of incentive program, I feel like. I understand, you ultimately you want to sell the tickets, and I know the U of A, they're going to prioritize making money over anything else, but it's like if a corporation has 10 tickets and they're in this tier or whatever, and it's like, hey, you have 10 tickets for the whole year and 8 of those were not used in 95% of the games, like there should be some type of, I don't know what consequence, like you don't have to slap them, do anything crazy, but it's like you should not get access to that many tickets the next year. It should be very different.
Yeah. And, it is sold out. You're right. I don't expect every, seat to have a butt in it for Southern. I don't. No. I expect that for, Louisville when they come here, and, Auburn and Kentucky and all, of course, all those games. But it's several thousand fewer than it was in the same situation just, 2 or 3 years ago. It's an objective fact, man. And again, we're not blaming anybody. Like I see this right here, like, families don't have $500 off on a Monday against Southern, and all these things. And again, like nobody's blaming anybody for that. By the way, we buy our own tickets to go to these games because of our situation. I sat like 15 feet from the Southern bench last night for $10. So,
yeah. And again, it'd be one thing if the tickets weren't sold. Because again, these tickets are already sold. That's not our point, is that, if you have specific circumstances, you can't make that decision on a Monday. We are saying, hey, if you have made a decision to buy season tickets and then you're going to make no effort to give them to someone else, you kind of suck.
Yeah. Well, and I want to bring up this picture. This, there's a lot of different examples and everything. Guys, this was the Arkansas Northern Iowa game of 2021 on November 17th. Okay. This was the crowd.
We won't see that until SEC play, literally.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, you're talking about just a few years ago against Northern Iowa, a team that's not good. It was early in the season. It was in November, but you had this crowd. That's where I'm kind of at a loss of what changed. Like, why? Like, what could happen? And again, it goes, and this is one thing I will harp on, because we've harped on it, and I'm going to harp on it again. And my problem with the U of A, it goes back to the communication, man. Just communicate with your own fan base and find out why. And honestly, and I'm not just saying like, it's just singly Yurachek. If it's Yurachek or whoever's involved, you should just be embarrassed by last night. Like, you should be embarrassed by that, embarrassed enough to do something about it. That's my point. Do something about it. Understand it's an embarrassment and figure it out, instead of just like, because here's how it comes across, guys. It comes across as, well, we got our money, so who cares? Like, that's what it comes across. We got our season ticket money. Who cares? We don't care who's in the stands. We don't care what happens. We got our sponsorship sold. Who cares? And that may not be the case, but when you don't say anything, you don't act like it's a problem. That's how it comes across.
I used to take a lot of pride, every time, those lists would come out, and best atmospheres in college basketball, and Bud Walton Arena is right there front and center. And, just the crazy home court advantage. Every coach in the league is like, going to Bud, you got to be 10 points better than the Razorbacks to get a win in there. Like, it's crazy. So loud, I couldn't hear myself think and stuff. And, the atmospheres will still be good. Like the people who are in there, engaged during the game and everything. Like, I thought it was good last night. I thought the students were good last night, given the opponent and everything like that. But I'm not willing to sacrifice the pedestal that I put Bud Walton Arena and what I think is one of the better environments in college basketball. I'm not willing to sacrifice that. And I don't care what the reason is. I just hope that we figure it out, because it's better than this. And this has the potential to be, the most special team that has come through Arkansas in a long time. And I just hope people can get in there and enjoy that. And I hope the guys can benefit from that, because you get this Arkansas team with, the personalities and the energy that we've talked about, and you pack that sucker in and bring somebody in there. It's a buzzsaw, man. You don't want those problems. And I do want opponents to have those problems. That's what it's all about for me, man.
For sure. And every time we do this discussion, I always worry it comes across as we're blaming the fans. And I hope we're really not like that.
No.
We understand the U
It
of A
doesn't
is
matter
like,
how many times you say it, people are still going to think that. But yeah,
for sure. No, for sure. But I do think as fans and as people that love this program, like it should piss you off seeing an empty crowd. And it should piss you off looking at Michigan State, who's not even good. And they don't even have like a ton of buzz about their program. Like it's not even like Michigan State. They're like building up to this crazy special. Like it's just a normal Michigan State team, and they're completely packed, and it's a ruckus atmosphere there. Like that should rub you the wrong way as a Razorback fan, looking at other programs who you are about to beat on Saturday and you are cooler than, having better atmospheres than you. That should make you mad. And again, that doesn't mean it's your fault, but it just should rub you the wrong way. And it's kind of weird that it doesn't rub a lot of people the wrong way, and it doesn't rub the actual university the wrong way. And like you said, Curtis, you just don't get to be mad when we don't put you top 5 on these lists of the greatest atmospheres and the greatest student sections and the greatest crowds and all that, or when we just simply say, hey, yeah, that was a fun game. Too bad nobody was there to see it. Like that shouldn't rub you. You get more upset about us saying it than you do seeing the crowd empty. And I just think that's weird.
Yeah.
Just pulling us up. Fishman says if we beat Michigan State, it'll be full the next home game. No, it won't.
Let's bet any amount of money.
No, it
I
won't.
guarantee you it won't even be 75% full.
Yeah. Because what did you say? It was UCA after that?
I think so.
Yeah. No, it's just not going to happen. And that's where it's getting to the point. And I know we'll get to some of your chats, folks, before we close up here. But it's just getting to the point to where, as you said, Curtis, I took pride in it too, as far as being one of the top atmospheres. I mean, for crying out loud, I was in the student section during the Pelfrey and Mike Anderson days, and it just always felt like, even when the team wasn't great or like to that level, the atmosphere was going to at least carry you. And some of the greatest atmospheres I remember was with Mike Anderson's teams, or even some Must teams. But now I'm going into every game just being like, how disappointed am I going to be today and seeing this crowd? And I hate that. And I hate that. And again, I want to be clear, because again, like you said, it doesn't matter, but it's like, I'm not blaming the fans. I just want to know why, and so we can fix it. That's I don't want the labor pains. Give me the baby. I just want to know how we can fix it. Let's just put swords down and let's fix the problem. That's what it needs to be.
100%, man. And I'll reiterate that we're all in the same boat here. Like I said, we pay for our tickets to go to these games.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people talk about the parking situation. It was a goat rodeo for me and John yesterday. We wound up parking in some dude's yard, a half mile away from Bud Walton for $20. Like we couldn't find anything. Fayetteville High School, the lot wasn't open yet because school was letting out, and it was a shit show, man. Like I get it. So it's they do not make it easy on you at all. I understand completely.
I get lucky every now and then. I just drive right by the guy that's standing outside Lot 56. Literally there was a car in front of me that like stopped to show his pass and all that. I just kept driving and then didn't turn around, and they didn't run after me or anything. That's literally how I parked at the game yesterday. I parked on the street sometimes. So I parked in a random person's yard before. You got to do what you got to do. And I'm with you. I'm with the fans on this one. That's not your fault. That is, again, part of the problem that is just the same every year. It's not like the U of A is actively trying to fight against that with you.
Yeah. Just love how you outed yourself on that one, Andrew. You're going to be looking for your car next time, seeing if it's like making sure.
You got to park. Once you get into the lot that you don't have a pass for, you got to park far enough back. Because obviously, if they're walking right by the entrance and they see, you got to park far enough back to where they don't check.
Well, there you go. See, they got some words of wisdom there from Andrew Ellis on his parking situation. Good to know.
I gave John great parking advice one time at Bomb. I was like, "Yeah, dude, just go in there. You don't have to pay parking. It's fine." They hit him with a ticket.
So yes, it's just never again. Okay, let's get to your chats, folks. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas is going to have you covered for this Christmas season. Let's be honest, folks. I mean, listen, it's a great thing. It's a great thing when Christmas is around the corner. But what makes Christmas great? Sure, it's the gifts. Sure, it's the music. But it's also the lighting. There's something about seeing your home and knowing your home is lit up the holiday season. So let Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas do the best job of anybody when it comes to making your house the talk of the neighborhood. And you can choose all the different colors that you want, and they're going to provide it for you. They're going to provide you in the pattern that you want. They install the lights. They take down the lights. They provide free maintenance on the lights. They do it all. So if you want your house this Christmas to be the one that everyone's jealous of and that everyone's like, man, how did you do this? How did you do this, Jerry? Well, Jerry, you can tell him I got the pros to do it with Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. So text our guy, Brett, for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. It's 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com or like them on Facebook by scanning the QR code on your screen. And also, folks, don't forget, we're going to be doing a giveaway, a free Christmas lighting setup the week before Thanksgiving, and we'll give you more details on that. But it's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts.
Hey, man,
All right.
Brett sent me the mock-ups for my Christmas lights this morning. Gonna look good, boys. Gonna look real good.
I'm just waiting for to have was it the Carol of the Bells blaring from Curtis's house, and just like he's just gonna be in so full of the spirit with the lights and everything to go along with it. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get some super chats into some other chats too before we get out. A shout out to Cubs fan. He says, "Good day, fellas. Got on late. Did anyone mention Andrew's prediction of the Hogs giving up 77 points and still having a good defense?"
Well, weirdly enough, I did say something like that yesterday where I was like, there's going to be a game this year where Arkansas gives up 77 points but still plays good defense. I didn't necessarily mean it as a prediction for this game, but I will gladly take that. And, yeah, Arkansas gives up, what do they give up, 79, 77?
77.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell yeah.
My argument would be against the good defense, but
I was going to say, they did give up 12 threes. But, yeah, we'll take it. But the point that I was making, though, they're going to play at such a high pace. They're going to give up a lot of points in a lot of games, but it doesn't necessarily mean they aren't going to be a good defensive team.
Yeah. Trevor Brazil was kind of pissed off that they gave up that many points too. Like that was the main thing. He's like, that can't happen. Should not happen. So
yeah, not against those dudes. But
yeah.
If it's going to happen, score 109. It's fine. But
yeah, I'm not going to try to hate on them too much, but good grief, Southern was so bad. Like if it wasn't for them getting hot from three, they would have gotten housed by 60 or 70 points. Like they had nothing.
I know that
that game could have been.
They're picked to compete for their league title or whatever. Bethune-Cookman, who took Auburn to overtime there, is also at the top there with Southern in the SWAC. They will beat Southern's ass. That was not. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take away anything from Arkansas's win. Hey, you had this game at home against a team that you're paying to come in here, and you beat them like a drum, like you were supposed to. But that was not a good basketball team. I don't give a damn where they were picked in the SWAC coming into this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. Shout out to Fishman for Super Chat. Appreciate it. Says, if we beat Michigan State and there's not at least $15K at the next home game, I'll send a $50 Super Chat screenshot it, boys. Deal.
Well, we'll be looking forward to your donation.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal, though, Fish. They don't put the numbers out on what the official attendance is. They're always going to say 19,200. I see what you're doing there. I know what you're trying to pull, but we appreciate it. But I'm telling you right now, if there's 15,000, and maybe this is what we need to do, guys. Maybe we just need to challenge everybody. If there's 15,000 people there, I'll be shocked. I will be floored if there's 15,000. I'll be happy, but I'll be floored if there's 15,000 people, especially if they beat Michigan State.
For sure.
Yeah. John Sullivan says Leaks Corner equals wet spot for the Meleek area. Yeah, so there we go. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. You paid $2 to say that. We really appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, we talked about the crowd already. Let's see. There's a crowd there too. Hunter Ratio says, if we look good against Michigan State, 1 by 10 plus, do y'all think we'll be top 10?
No.
Man.
I don't think the rest of the country cares what Arkansas's got going on, man.
Folks they're not picking up what Arkansas is putting down, man. Well, maybe the AP poll, like maybe the humans actually get it.
Yeah. The people that matter.
So. Yeah. It'll depend what happens elsewhere. Like Florida already took an L. I don't know what the other good games are this weekend, but probably not. Where are they right now? 14?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they'll fade Michigan State more than they pump up Arkansas.
Do not get ranked 8th. That's all I'm asking. Just skip 8. 8 it's the bad number for football and basketball, because both times, it's like over the past 5 years, the highest you've been ranked in either of those sports has been 8th, and every single time as soon as you got ranked 8th, you lost and it just went downhill. So.
The good thing is, if Arkansas does beat Michigan State, realistically, their next potential loss would be Thanksgiving Day, of course, against Duke. That's a couple weeks where, we'll see what everyone else does. But, like, I think at the very least, if Arkansas wins Saturday, that would probably clinch that Duke game as a top 8-ish matchup, just because Arkansas will probably bump up a little bit unless they just stink it up against a couple of these non-conference teams.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Mrs. Dansvan. Appreciate you, Mrs. Dansvan, for the super chat. Says, are we beating Michigan State Saturday? We're planning a watch party here in Washington State. Woo pig.
Hell yeah, we're beating Michigan State. But yeah, that's awesome.
It's even a question.
When you shouted her out yesterday, I wanted to acknowledge that you know how sometimes people will do the thing on Twitter, they'll be like, what's a good podcast to listen to Razorback Sports? And then, all the podcasts that are not us send like their minions to go like flood the chat with that. We don't do that because we're not nerds, but I always do appreciate the people that do, prop us up in those. And it's usually names that we know. I saw her doing this, I believe, under one of those tweets, which, I don't really care about that kind of stuff, but I do appreciate the people that do it for us because they're, advocating on our behalf, which is nice.
Yep. She's awesome. Let's see. Joshua, appreciate you. Super Chat says, is it just me or is Trevin finally playing more angry? Curtis, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like almost like he's just playing with, he understands. Not that he didn't before, but just feels like he's comfortable is how I say it. He's comfortable in what role he's playing.
Seems very comfortable, confident. Body language is there. He's got a mean streak to him. He's literally doing all the things that we told you all summer that he had been doing and would do. And we had this conversation last night, Andrew, about like, okay, at what point do people start to believe? Because I understand cautious optimism. I understand being a little bit hesitant, and we'll believe it when we see it because we've been hearing all this about Trevin for 4 years and he's kind of been the same player or whatever. It has felt very different this time. So while I understand that, we remain bullish on it. And so far he's proven us right. And I like that. I'm very anxious to see how he performs on the road against this big physical Michigan State team. But he's certainly an improved player, man. And I think it's pretty clear to anybody who's watching him right now.
As much as we've talked about Trevin's inconsistencies, and certainly he's been a guy throughout his career that has been up and down and you never really know. I would also say, look at his circumstances a lot of these years. I mean, one, obviously tears his ACL right as he was getting going in his sophomore year, which is his best year as a collegiate guy. He tears his ACL there, so that's a tough break that kind of hindered him. The next year, his playing time fluctuated, his health and availability fluctuated, his role on the team fluctuated. They were playing him at freaking shooting guard sometimes. Last year, of course, he was better towards the end of the year. That wasn't until he started playing consistently. Like, his role fluctuated a good bit. So I think, honestly, like, as much as Trevin has grown, and he obviously has, and I agree with that assessment. He was playing with a lot more purpose last night. You can tell he had a lot more confidence. This is also really the first time in a long time he's going to be playing with consistent circumstances, consistent role, consistent touches. And so I think it's kind of just all of it coming together for Trevin.
Also, to I guess Hogsoft just said, as a Central Arkansas guy, I'm not going to drive up to Fayetteville on a weeknight for a 2-hour game and then get home at 11 and go to work the next day. Basketball is an NWA, folks.
This is perfectly fine. Just give your tickets to someone else. That's all we're asking. Like, we're not saying you have to go to every game. We're not even saying, by the way, I don't know, maybe you don't have season tickets. If you don't have season tickets, then great. You're not the person we're talking about right now. If you do have season tickets and you live in Little Rock, give me your ticket every game. I will gladly use your ticket so that there is at least someone in that seat, or I can find someone to give it to. Give your ticket to someone else. It's not a crime to not go to the games. It's not a crime to not have season tickets. Hell, most people don't. But it's like, if you do have season tickets and you have a ticket to the game, give it to someone else, or try and sell it. Give it to John. We'll figure it out. But like, I just don't think that's a good enough excuse for just a ticket to be unused. Especially, it's like, if you live in Little Rock, then don't have season tickets.
I wish that and I'm not even saying that's necessarily the case right here, but just people get so defensive about it. Nobody said, hey, all of you in Little Rock, why the hell aren't you driving to Fayetteville on a Monday night to watch this basketball game? And the people who do I work a 9 to 5. How the hell am I supposed to get there and park and get seated by 6? It'll be halftime. Nobody's blaming you for that. All we're doing is pointing out a fact. The damn arena is empty. That's it.
Yeah, and that's saying. It's empty, and so let's fix it. Let's not point fingers. Let's fix it. And then also to the point of the travel and everything. It's like, again, I get it. But you don't want to be windy wasteful and let tickets go to waste. Being windy wasteful is bad. And so you need to make sure that because here's the deal, if you're trying to sell them, but if you can't sell them, give them, just make it happen.
We're not trying to take away from anyone's reasoning who can't make it to a game. It's everybody's life, their family situation, where you live, that it's different for everyone. I 100% understand that. Don't feel attacked when we call this out. If you have a legitimate reason why you can't go to the games or, for what, then of course people have that, man. There's no doubt about it. But the arena being, 50% full has not always been a thing. So what happened is the question, and how do we fix it? That's all, man.
Yeah. And real quick, just for some of the personal experience, guess what? I lived in Little Rock for 4 years. I covered the Razorback basketball team. All right. I had access to go up and to cover the team with a free ticket, with a parking pass in the media, and in some cases had a free place to stay. And I still didn't do it every single game. It's because I get it. It's a hassle. It's a tough thing. So, I did that when I was down there. So I totally understand.
It goes back to what you were saying, Curtis. It's no matter how many times we can say, hey, we're not saying people that don't have season tickets or people that don't have tickets to the game or people that live in Florida or live in Georgia or live in whatever. But yeah, everyone, when we talk about it, people get upset.
I know it's a touchy subject, man. And I just, what folks have to remember is, you are one of us, we are one of you, whatever. We're all kind of in the same boat here. We just wanted to be.
We all want to see the arena filled up, and that doesn't mean that every single one of y'all in the chat has to be there. But we want to see that atmosphere be great.
Yeah, I think people just get defensive because it feels like it's a challenge to their fanhood or something.
Sure.
And it's not. It's not. All right, just a couple more here before we roll out. Let's see. Scooby Doobies says, how many 30-point games do you think Acuff and Thomas will have this year? Over under 5. Ooh.
Either one of them goes for 30?
I think they're saying total.
Yeah, over.
Yeah, I would say, because I think Meleek's probably going to have 3 or 4 by himself, honestly.
He's going to do it Saturday.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Acuff
wouldn't that be something?
Simply chose not to. Do we agree that Acuff chose not to score 30? He clearly could have yesterday. He chose not to. I don't even know if he attempted a shot in the final 30 minutes.
Yes, that's the way I'm looking at it. But yeah, I'm with you too. I think you need to set it higher. I'd say 8.5 or something like that to get to that point. Let's see. Also, I just want to real quick respond to OKC because he's always so nice. Says John it does mean something. What do you mean it doesn't mean anything? They went into overtime with a school that no one has heard of. I'm saying because what no one remembers is if you go to the Sweet 16, Final Four, or whatever, no one's going to look back and say, man, remember when Auburn went to? They're not very good because they went to overtime with Bethune-Cookman in the first game of the season. That's what I mean. That's you can take something from it, but as far as the overwhelming big picture result, it means nothing. That's what I was referring to.
Also, it's Arkansas is going to play him twice, so it's we can celebrate as much as we want. It's but if you lose to him, you still lost to him,
Yeah. And finally, hey, a little baseball question from Trey. Says, Andrew, speaking about Dave Van Horn, have you heard anything about how he may be frustrated? I heard an unnamed stream that Big Money had meeting last Friday, and that was one thing that came from it. True?
Well, I don't talk on other people's business and other people's jobs, but if I were going to, I would say that this is kind of a well-known thing. This has been, this is not a new development. Dave not being super thrilled with the current administration in the athletic department, a specific con artist in there. I think that's, he a lot of college baseball coaches were not thrilled with their revenue share. Of course, the baseball program doesn't produce as much revenue as it probably should, which is a whole another set of issues. But I think Dave Dave is already taking a pay cut with his salary. He's not among the top coaches in the country. He's making literally, he was making less than half of what Tony Vitello was going to make if he had remained at Tennessee. He's doing that out of the goodness of his heart because he loves the university. And then he's also getting screwed on the revenue share front, at least from his perspective. So, yeah, I think there's definitely some tension there. There have been some very tense conversations about sort of what needs to happen, what they think are issues. I think Dave, it's no secret also, for the past 5 years has been saying, I want to have more seats at Baum Walker. I want to have more seats. And he gets told no every single year. And then now he's getting told no, but saying, but we are going to add this video board that literally only one person wants. And that's what we're going to do. And so, yeah, I think you add all that up. I think that Dave is understandably a little bit pissed. I don't buy the narrative that it's going to drive him out of Arkansas. I definitely don't think he's definitely not about to bounce to some other job. But could it, I mean, for a guy that at some point will hang it up, will that factor into his decision? Possibly. And I also think it's okay for Dave, and I think he should do this more. Assert your leverage. Like, I don't want Dave to be leveraging the U of A for every single dollar or anything like that, but it's like he's earned the right. If there's anybody that's earned the right to use their leverage and be like, hey, I've taken plenty of, cuts. I've done plenty of sacrificing for this, university, and I've given everything to it. I should maybe be respected a little bit more. I think that's perfectly fine. I also understand why a baseball program that doesn't make a ton of money isn't going to get a ton out of the revenue share. So I can see both sides of it. But to answer your question, yeah, it's definitely a thing that there's a little bit of a rift, and not everyone's super thrilled about the way baseball is being represented.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Yes.
Oh, forgot
people find ways to show up to the football games, right? On Saturdays. I get it.
Yeah.
That's my final thought. I just want to make sure we got to that super chat. We appreciate you, Chris, for sure. I'm with you because I understand, the thought process of some people. Like they're still getting 60,000+ in these football games, and they're 2-7. Or like, oh, why the hell wouldn't you want to go see this basketball team? Like Saturday crowds for basketball are significantly higher than midweeks. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's part of it. Easier travel. You don't have to miss work. Make a weekend out of it. I understand all that, but it is like on a baseline level. Boy, throw a lot of your fandom and support at the team that's really, really good. So I get it for sure.
A little bit of supply and demand too. If there were only 12 basketball games all year, maybe be a little bit more demand for.
How many games do you get in Fayetteville for football? Like 5 at best. Yeah. So right.
Yeah, a little bit of that as well. But yeah, I'm with you. My final thought is just appreciate everybody for tuning into the show. And I mean, it's always amazing to me because we know there's times where it's like, portal season or, the team's in the NCAA tournament. It's always, those are times when you expect just people to be rolling in, people to be excited. It is cool on just random Tuesdays in the middle of November after a non-conference basketball game that nobody even attended, that we just have such engagement, people supporting in the chat, people giving super chats, people showing up here, man. And it's not lost on us. And I just want to make sure that y'all know that we really do appreciate that.
Absolutely. And we're going to keep doing this, man. We're going to keep doing it all season long, all year long, all the time. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page, as well as wherever our podcasts are found. And don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be live from Blue Ember Smokehouse in Rogers on Pleasant Grove Road from 12 to 2. So come on out and see us and have a great lunch and a great time with great vibes, because we're going to be there, and it's always great when we're there. So we can't wait, and looking forward to it. Again, that's tomorrow at Blue Ember Smokehouse in Rogers. And be sure not only to subscribe to us and follow our podcast, follow us on social media for all the latest, and we'll keep it going from there. That'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon, live from Blue Ember Smokehouse. We'll see y'all then.